Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Change your name, maybe.
Oh, yes, that would help.
And we are live.
Excellent. All right. Welcome, everyone, to VO Booth Besties. We're here to help working voice actors get your most important questions answered by industry pros who know. Each week, we have a new topic and a guest speaker who is an expert on that topic. If you missed a live episode, you can always catch the recording later on our website, boothbesties.com, or anywhere you find your favorite podcasts. Be sure to join us in the VO Booth Besties Facebook group as well. It's a great community. We have lots of fun and we lift each other up. Now, without further ado, let's meet our guest. Over to you, AB.
Okay. Aimee Eckley is a veteran marketing strategist. I wanted to call you a specialist, but same thing, right? Strategist with more than 2 decades of experience. Her direct and practical approach has made her a sought-after consultant, guest speaker, and trainer for a diverse range of clients, from nonprofits to major retailers and service providers. She specializes in simplifying marketing concepts and helps clients target niche audiences for maximum ROI, prioritizing their success. Aimee believes that all businesses, regardless of size and budget, can benefit from ads and marketing crafted from real strategy and real conversations about the work that must be done to identify true success for each campaign.
Wow, that's a
Hey, Aimee.
lot.
I know.
I do all of that. Yeah, I guess I do. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, you and I recently caught up on LinkedIn, and I really loved what you had to say about helping clients identify who their target audience really is. And I guess before we dig into that, let's introduce you to our audience. Give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, when you say over 2 decades, and when I write that now, I think, my gosh, has it been that long? Because it's just, it's true, I guess. When you're really enjoying what you do, the time just flies. So um, when I took a minute and I had to actually write that down, I'm like, wow, I've been doing this for a really long time. I got my start in an advertising department of a daily newspaper. And from day one, I was just in the ad department, kind of as an assistant. And in about a week, they called me in and they were like, yeah, this isn't going to work out in this role because we hear you on the phone, we hear you talking to advertisers, and we think, you'd be better suited for this other role. So while I'm not a voiceover actor by any stretch of the words, I did start in audio text. So I was selling audio text ads, and I'm not sure the average age of your group, but audio text was pre-internet. You could call up and hear movie reviews and horoscopes and lottery numbers, homework assignments if you had a hotline like that in your area. And so I recorded those and I sold those and I had a booth. And so I'm well aware of, selling air and selling airtime and recording and writing really short audio scripts. So started in that realm and then just was the right place at the right time as the internet started to take off. And I was in Toronto, Canada, saw some guys at an audio text conference who were talking about, the internet and what it was going to do. And I thought, yeah, I better figure that out really quickly. And so was able to just roll into digital marketing and advertising right as it started, and have been doing it ever since. And so I see all of the trends, all of the changes, made it through COVID with everyone, and everything has changed, and yet nothing has changed, right? Because the marketing, the advertising, the basics that I always talk to my clients about, across the board, basic 101 will always give you success. So really happy to share that with anyone and with your group especially.
Okay. So I'm going to start with a chicken and the egg question.
Yeah.
Do you do direct marketing to find your clients, or do clients come to you looking for help with their direct marketing?
So it's both. It's definitely a mix of both. Right now, I'm part of an amazing team at Mancy Media. We're based in Harrisburg, PA. A great team there. We have a lot of great clients who are already on board. And obviously, know Mancy, know the Mancy name, and they seek us out for sure. But I think every business, regardless of what business that is, should be doing direct outreach. And call it whatever you'd like. You can call it cold calling, cold emailing, networking, any type of direct approach. I think every business and everyone in that business should be doing that at all times, for sure.
Okay. What is your process when you sit down with a new client? How do you get to the core of what their audience is and what they need?
Yeah, so when I meet a client, and I want to be clear, when I give these kinds of talks or presentations, when I'm networking, I get that my room is filled with all types of businesses. If you're doing a presentation at a chamber of commerce or an event, that you have everyone from a local mom and pop shop owner to a roofer to a huge construction company to a hospital CEO in the room. So really, I know most of your group freelances, and those creatives, you're all still business owners. Your brand is yourself, your voice. So when I'm prospecting and I'm sitting down with a client, I have that meeting and I'm meeting them for the first time. It's knowing what questions to ask of them, to them, but it's really just listening. So, once you have your clients, you want to listen to them. You want to ask them one or two great questions and just let them flow. And then hear what they're saying, hear what their needs are, and ask really good questions, and make sure that you're a good fit for them, and do some research before that meeting. Know what their samples have been in the past, what advertising have they done in the past, what type of voices have they used in the past. Ask them questions like what they liked, what they haven't liked about those voices or commercials, or whatever they're doing. You really need to ask them. And sometimes, in that early kind of meeting, you want to start to set the tone. You want to hear what their thoughts are. You want to make sure that you understand their expectations. And so that really makes your relationship going forward, that much easier.
Okay, so let's kind of get a little bit deeper into that. It's
Sure.
so easy for us to say, when you're reaching out to a prospective client, what does that even mean? Like, where do I even begin? Am I looking for a job title? Am I looking for a company that I want to work with and trying to, figure out who the hiring person is? What does that look like? Like, how do I even know where to begin with a client?
Yeah, so I always tell the business, and especially for this group specifically, really ask yourself the good questions. Know about your brands, and that will make your prospecting so much easier, right? So if you can identify, and what I always have my clients do is a quick exercise. I encourage all of you to do it if you haven't done this already. Do it right after the call. Walk away from this particular podcast with some homework, but do the homework and really go deep, as deep as you feel comfortable doing it. But the really quick thing I always ask everybody is, who is your ideal customer, right?
Okay.
So that, and sometimes they'll say, well, anybody who needs a voice, right? And that's not necessarily the case, right? So I think when Jen and I were talking earlier this year, and she asked, hey, what are you doing? And I could talk about marketing all day. It's a passion. But if you're talking to a busy restaurant, right? And so think of like the busiest, most popular locally owned restaurant in your community. And you walked into that business and you said to the owner on like a busy Friday night, the place is packed, and you're like, how's business? They're like, I don't need to advertise. I don't need you. I don't need more commercials, right? I'm packed. But if you had a conversation and you asked that business owner, hey, what day of the week are you not as busy? Or is it Monday and Tuesday? What time of the day would you like more traffic into this location? How's your takeout business on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? And you really started to ask them those questions. If you talk to a bridal store, for example, a dress shop, and you say, hey, you sell wedding dresses, right? Who are your customers? Brides. But that's not really the case, right? What kind of brides? And you have to lead people down this road. And I don't think they're comfortable doing it. Is it a destination bride? Is it a traditional bride who wants this giant ball gown? Is it a third time marriage, right? It's my third try. What does that dress look like, right? And how does that, are they traditional? Are they cultural? Like, where area are those bridal stores in? So when you really start to talk to every type of customer and you really start to drill down, you want them to have a profile of each customer. And then each campaign should target that specific customer, right? And then that starts to make sense. And then where do those ads go? Where does that marketing go? Who do I prospect to get the best results for that particular client lead? And so same thing for all of you. What is my voice? What is my voice best suited for, right? And everybody wants business, right? So you're just trying to get anybody who needs a voiceover artist. But that might not work well for you, and it might not work well for them. So just authentically knowing what your voice is best suited for. And then once you know that and you have those different customer profiles, maybe your tone is great for a meditation app, children's stories, voiceover work that's really family friendly. Maybe it's, my voice on a day that, it's like high energy, that might be like something totally different. You don't want me reading your bedtime story, perhaps, right? So know what your voice is really geared towards, and then your prospecting becomes that much more efficient and effective. And then you start to look for job titles. Then you start to look for the companies. You want to be able to use things like, just your own knowledge, right? Like, hey, this is my ideal client, and write it down. Have a book where you have, these are my dream targets, right? These are my national clients.
I do that.
That I want, right? They're on my list. And then have your, more of your regional type accounts, and then you're going to have your local. And then be really specific, but then like shoot high, aim high, but be really specific on who those are, and then start to figure out, who are they? Like, those are just people, right? So who are the buyers? How old are they? Who's making the decisions on that end with those job titles for the creatives, right? Who's hiring voiceover actors? Where do they hang out? And then that helps you lead your dollars, right? And I hope that makes sense to everybody. You have to do your homework, because if you're going to go out and prospect and you're going to spend some budget to market your brand, you want to make sure that you're spending it in the right place. So, where do those people eat? Where are those conferences held? Are they doing things like 5K, half marathons? Are they on the golf courses? Are they at, high-end restaurants? Or should you be doing ads around like other places? Are they all remote, or are they like all in big cities? So if you start to ask yourself those questions, your prospecting becomes that much more efficient. And then you can use some B2B database applications, and then you can start to really get granular. Visit their websites, check them out, make connections on LinkedIn, look for commonality, right? Who do you know who may know them? So I hope that helps, but you really have to do the homework.
My brain is spinning. AB, you want to jump in?
I do. I love what you're saying, because you're forcing us to kind of think about things in a different way than we traditionally do in voiceover, which is why we wanted to interview you, to help us see things outside of the voiceover booth or box, so to speak. But I want to take your bridal store analogy and kind of shift it up a little bit. So we're the fabric of the dress, right? And we want to get to the bridal store, but we're really going through the designer and the seamstress. And oftentimes the bridal store doesn't want to talk to the person who makes the fabric. They don't want anything to do with the person that makes the fabric. They only want to talk to the designer. So we're having to reach out to the designers, but yet there are times when the bridal store is like, that's the fabric I want. I want a dress made with that. We've got to have something with that same satin. You know what I mean?
I do.
It can be really frustrating to try to figure out a marketing plan, because we may know the brands we want, but how do we find the designer that gets us to the bridal store we're aiming for? So that's kind of where we fit. Like, we're hitting production companies or the creative director that's kind of the middleman, so to speak. Do you feel like there's a way we could be going directly to the bridal store saying, you really want my fabric? You want this fabric, and you can only get it at this designer. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can, you want to make sure that you're using your time efficiently, right? And you want to spend any dollars in a marketing or advertising budget, as best use RO. You want to maximize the ROI, right? You want to make sure that you're spending everything wisely. But yeah, once you know a brand that you want to work with, don't be afraid to reach out to them. Somebody that there. I mean, you might not be able to get right to the CEO, but get into those gatekeepers, make sure that they know your voice. You want to make sure you can make connections throughout the whole company, because sometimes they have a lot more influence than their title may say. So I really, I try not to focus too much on specific titles, or you want to go maybe 3 or 4 levels down. Everybody wants to focus on like C-suite execs. That's a big one. Everybody wants, to go after the CEO, the big titles, but you also want to make sure that, your executive assistants, you don't know who at that company has the connection or can get you in that door. So don't be afraid to expand job by job title. That's really, really important. And then you want to make sure that if you're going through agencies, sometimes the people at the agency, when I had recommended to drill down and know how old are the people that I'm talking about, they may be in a totally different realm than who the owner of that company is, right? So the owner of the company is on the golf course, at the high-end steakhouse, perhaps, where someone else who's doing their buying, someone at their agency, might be at the vegan restaurant and, hanging out, not at the golf course, but, at a motocross event or, whatever. So you have to kind of do your own homework and make sure that you know exactly who you're trying to contact, and then make sure that those platforms, like, everybody's looking for the secret sauce. Like, what's the magic? What's the hot new platform? Should I be on TikTok? Should I be over here? Should I be putting it all on Instagram? And there isn't. It's everyone's so individual, and who you're trying to reach is so individual. So until you can answer each of those questions, and even with the 3 of you, Jen T's list and what she's going to do for direct outreach may look way different than, Jen, right? So each of you are going to have a different sauce, if you will. The secret sauce is different for everyone. They're all basically the same, but they just have little different ingredients, because each of you are different. So yeah, everyone asks me that, what's the best place for me to be? What's the hot new place? Where should everybody be? The only thing I can say across the board that I wish, if I could wave the magic wand for all of you, is targeted email. Everyone thinks email is like so outdated and that's not the hot, sexy, new platform. I'm telling you, it works, and you can do really granular targeting on it. And you can do it by location, and you can do it by job title, by industry, and it's really, really good results that are super measurable. So that is one thing that I wish you would all kind of check into, but you have to know who you're going after.
Well, and this is what you're really driving home, and this is something I preach as well, is you talked about niching down, drilling down, like, be intentional. So often, folks, it's the spaghetti on the wall email. Like, you just hear, well, just reach out to the creative director. And so you just go, huh, I just want to be on your roster. Well, that's not actually niching down. You're not like, I already have that. Like, I don't need you. Why do I need you? What do you provide? Maybe even put together a fully produced spot for that. Here's what I can do. Hey, I saw a recent social media thing. I took it and I ran with it. And I want to, let me show you where I fit. Certainly with, this opportunity for folks who have unique voices, POC, non-binary, transgender. I mean, there's so many opportunities for you to showcase, but coming at it from a place of just, hey, I'm a voice actor. You've said it, like, you're not solving a problem. You're not niching down. You're not, being specific. So I really like that you're focused on answer these questions, dig deeper. And I just think that's wonderful. So beyond when you're researching potential clients, or when you encourage freelancers, Am I Googling this? Where am I finding? Am I going around my local community looking for businesses? Like how do you, it could get really big. So how do you make that smaller?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've ever heard anybody in sales, they always used to say ABC, right? Always be closing. And so I think it's really hard for I'm sure it's very hard for creatives like yourselves to listen to anything, right? To listen to another, you'll go, oh, I could have done that better. Oh, they could have said that differently, or I would have changed the tone on that, right? And so for me, like, it's hard, right? You can ask my family, my husband, my daughter. We can't go out to dinner without me saying, like, hey, you know what? I bet I could run a campaign on that. Hey, or we walk into a store and I'm like, hey, why don't you have this in the front of the store? Why didn't you lead with this in your ad? So that's really tough. I'm constantly prospecting. I'm constantly thinking about each business that I see. I see a billboard. I go, well, this should have been laid out a little differently. I hear an ad. I go, oh. So it's constantly, we're just in a time right now where we have all of these ads coming at us at all times. But also you want to do your research. Google's a great place to start, obviously. Where are your expos? Where are your industry events? Where are those things happening on not just the giant annual national conventions, but are there some mini ones? Are there acting schools? Are there studios where people are going to be going in and out of there, the people that you're trying to get? And I love the analogy about the fabric, the fabric and the seamstress, and where are those people going, right, when they go somewhere? And I know that you all just had some big event. Was it in Vegas? Was it
Atlanta?
Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I knew that was happening and you were one of my clients, right, and you came to me and you said, hey, I would love to go to this Atlanta thing. I'm not able to make it. I had some other commitments, or I've got some work commitments and I can't get there. And, boy, I missed my chance. Now I can't market myself there until 2025. I'd be like, do we have an address? Because once we have an address of this location, we're buying up digital out-of-home billboards in a 10-mile radius, 20-mile radius of that place. We're mobile geofencing it to tag those cell phones so that when they go home for 30 days, your ads are there, linking to your great websites with lead gen pages on them, with audio scripts. You might be on the side of the bus. You might be, everybody gets to the airport and lands, and they walk through the airport, and it's your picture everywhere, and it's voiceover booth bestie ads everywhere, and
love it. We're doing it. Write it down, guys. That's what we're doing next. Bus ads.
And then you're emailing people like that are going to be attending there. You reach out. Can I sponsor something in that event? Can I sponsor the lunch, the breakfast? What can I do? And like really reach out and make friends to the people who are like hosting those things. When you're there, if you're there in person, show up. Hey, do you need help setting up something? Are you a tech expert? And somebody's having trouble with PowerPoint, jump up, drop your cards.
Yep.
So you don't always have to be there physically if you are great, but if you're not and you're not able to network, don't miss those giant opportunities.
When we're at breakfast, the ladies know this about me. I'm such a dork, but I'm always like, there's a lot of eligible businessmen here. It's always, they're always in a suit and whatever. And I'm like, all right, how do I get a card to them and to them? Because it's seeing your opportunity. One of the things that I do too is you make friends with the staff. Like the GM of the hotel and we probably, I don't know, every month message each other on LinkedIn and think again, like AB said, thinking outside of the box, right? It's not just a voiceover to voiceover or a voiceover to a B2B, like you said, relationship. It could be this offshoot, but that you want to have that open communication. You want to get to know lots of different people and build those relationships because you never know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell everyone, know your voice, know who is going to love it, know that it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we talk about direct marketing, especially for people who are creatives, I feel like being creative and having these great voices and being actors, sometimes you could take things personally, like, oh, they didn't respond, or, maybe they don't like my voice. And that's not necessarily the case, right? They're just people like we are. So if someone's not getting back to you, it's because they had a family emergency, or it's because they intended to, and then 3 days pass. And I always tell everyone, think about how you get a text, you want to reply, but the dentist calls you back, and then you forget about it, and then it's like 12 texts down. And same thing with email. If I blink, I have 100 messages in my inbox. You really have to kind of have a thick skin. And I know you're all used to auditions, and you go in for an audition, but when you're doing direct prospecting, that's tough stuff, right? And so you have to know that it could be the 10th touch to that person before you ever hear from them. So don't give up, plan it out, have a really specific plan on how often you're going to contact people, what you're posting on LinkedIn, what you're posting on social media. It can't always be business related, right? And so think about that too. When we do the homework, what are some things that you can offer to the people like that you're going to try to do business with? And maybe it's a tip, maybe it's, hey, when you're packing, because it's coming up for something that they're traveling for. Maybe there's a new technology, maybe you've tested out, and I know you all are sponsored by this, is it Soundblocks?
Studio Bricks.
Studio Bricks.
It's a
Which is a perfect segue into the.
I swear that was not intended.
It was perfect.
But yeah, right. So like maybe, hey, we tested this out, and show yourselves like testing them out somewhere else, or hey, we tried something here. And I'm not a voiceover artist, but if I need to soundproof a room for something, like, or my office, so my family doesn't have to hear me all the time. Those are some things that you can do for yourself, that you're really giving value, and you're not just emailing people, right? What's the value of that email? Yeah. And I loved when you said, you recorded a demo for them based on something that they had, sending that spec ad, sending an idea. Hey, what do you think about this? Love your feedback on this. Yeah, that's all good.
So before we get to the half-hour mark, which this 30 minutes has already flown by. So now I'm doing all this. How am I managing this? How am I tracking it? Do you track metrics? Like, do you have one of the emails where it shows if they opened it, if they read it, or, are you, I don't know, do you have a way to track who all you're reaching out to? Is it just a Excel spreadsheet? What are you doing?
So certainly you can get a CRM. That's obviously a great investment if you're doing really big outreach. If not, and you're more of a smaller voiceover artist, and you're not quite at the level where you're investing in a CRM product or some software, and there's some great ones out there. Start managing it, on your calendar with a great Excel spreadsheet. Make sure that you have, even handwriting. When I meet with a client, handwritten notes in a folder, and then putting that into, some data processing type of spreadsheet. But yeah, write it down, take notes, make little notes on tiny things, like when you met them. I ask people when I'm meeting with them, hey, what coffee are you drinking? Are you Starbucks? Are you Dunkin'? What's that order look like? Right. Next time I go in, you better believe I'm taking that coffee with me, or I'm emailing them the gift card, because a lot of it, what we do is virtual, right? So before a meeting, I will send them that gift card, grab a coffee before our call, right? Those are some things that you can do, that you're doing some outreach that won't be really expensive, but that you manage. So, in that spreadsheet of your customers, have your column set up with how often you contacted them, what you sent them, what the response was. Obviously, a CRM will track all of that for you. But yeah, and then you can see who opened and who clicked and things like that. Another great tip is, when you have a CRM, make sure you have a link to your calendars available in those emails, so that, these people are busy. They're running from meeting to meeting just like we are. So make sure that you have your link to your calendar so they can just click to schedule with you too.
Okay. I'm gonna just insert our little commercial for Studio Bricks here, because I am in a Studio Bricks booth and I do love it. And interestingly enough, last week, when we had our episode, George Whittam reached out to me, and he is a audio engineer, booth guru, and he was like, hey, did you know that the studio bricks in your time frame that you purchased it had this little problem? And he told me how to fix it. But what was really interesting is he also shared that when Studio Bricks realized that this was a problem, so it's the problem with the 416 specifically, which is the type of microphone that I have, they fixed it. They redesigned their booths to fix it because they actually care about what the voice talent needs, and the impact on the way that they made their booth was completely changed by feedback from voice actors. And I think that just goes to show how they run their business. It's a small business. We think of it as this big company, but it's not. It's just a few people. And when I received my booth, I actually had a problem with the floor. And I'm still not sure why or what the issue was, but they kept trying to help me fix it. We went through so many different things to the point they actually sent me a whole new floor for my booth. It didn't solve the problem. The problem, I think, was with the space I was putting it in, but they didn't care. They didn't care that the problem was on my end. Their customer service was top notch with making sure that I was happy. And so I encourage you guys to check out Studio Bricks if you're looking at investing in your business a little bit more. That's one way that you can do it, is to give yourself a space that is set aside specifically for voiceover, and you can put it anywhere, which is really nice. Well, anywhere that has space for a 4x6 booth. So Aimee, let's jump back in here. We have some questions in the chat. Our YouTube is live, and I think there's some pretty good questions. A couple of comments first. Someone said to remember that this is a long game, so you're not going to make money in the short term, and you've got to have that built into your plan. So when you're marketing, you may be investing some money up front that maybe you're not going to see. Don't expect to see an immediate turnaround, right? And then someone said to tell you that coffee thing is slick. So thank you for that tip. The coffee, like, send them the gift card for the coffee. I love that. I love that. Mike Cunningham asked, how do you get the various rosters or company designers of the bridal dress, so to speak, that you get on to engage with you more often without essentially sending what comes down to a, hey, don't forget I'm here, send me stuff email? Like, how do you get them to use your fabric more often without just being annoying?
Yeah, so that's always a challenge, right? And we're humans, right? And we have feelings, and no one wants to feel like, oh, maybe I'm like bugging this person, but you have to you kind of have to step out of your comfort zone. It's really tough for freelancers, especially, right? Because usually you're by yourselves and you're doing this on your own. I had a client once, and during one of our conversations, I got to, ask her a few really good questions. And one of the things I asked her was, what do you wish people knew about you? Not you, the person, like, what, no one wants to know what your hobbies are. Your customers don't want to know that. But what do you wish people knew about you and what you put into this business? And I keep a book of quotes with me at all times, because I always hear something really great, or I listen to a podcast and then I forget, I'm out walking and I forget what the quote is. So I always write these little quotes down, and I'll never forget when she said it. I literally like reached my hand into my bag. I pulled my book out and I wrote it down, because she said, it's lonely, right? It's lonely being a business owner. And so, just imagining all of you and all of your freelance gigs that you have, and you're doing this in a booth, by yourself most of the time. So it's really easy to kind of start to feel like you're doing this and you're the only one doing it, right? But if you're working in a big agency, everybody's doing it, and everybody's out there, making those connections and emailing for the third or the fourth time, or making a call, picking up the phone. And when you hear everybody else doing it, it just kind of keeps that energy really high. So keep a good track, because you don't want to be emailing everyone, daily, or, every couple of, days. But you want to be really strategic about when you're reaching out to them, how often you're reaching out to them, and doing a mix. If email is just not getting a response, pick up the phone. We're just at a time right now. I don't know if you all see this, but people aren't picking up the phone. They want to text. I went into a local eatery the other day, and there was a human behind the counter, And there were kiosks where you were supposed to order. And there were 3 people in front of me waiting for the human to come down and take the order. And she said, "Are you good to order on the kiosk?" And you could see the confusion of like, why would I order on the kiosk? Like, you're right here. But she was making other orders. So I guess for them, it was more efficient and whatever. So people aren't picking up the phone anymore. Pick up the phone. Hey, you know, I sent you this great list of something. Did you get it? I sent you this great, you know, idea. Did you receive it? Hey, I'd like to schedule a quick meeting with you. I'd love to send you a gift card for a coffee so we can, you know, chat about this great idea in your next commercial. So don't be afraid. You know, you have to cut through the hundreds of emails that they get a day or a week. Send them a note. You know, I still use snail mail. I send people that are my clients, I send them handwritten thank you cards. You know, hey, thanks for your business. I really enjoy working with you. I'll send them candy. You know, we're coming up on the big Easter basket holiday, right? Send them some candy. You know, hey, thought you could use a sweet treat.
Isn't it funny that just the traditional means of like, we overthink this and we try to be so clever. I just totally align with what you're saying. I think it's wonderful. And I'm a person who does pick up the phone, and I'll call. I also do business development for a casting site called Cast Voices. And when we first got up and running, one of my jobs was to literally call production agencies all over the country to say, hey, check us out. And you know what happened? They answered. They talked to me. Or they just didn't, or they said, we're not interested. That was it. Like, the scary thing that people think that they're going to get cursed out or blacklisted, or they're going to actually remember my name and voice and not you. It's not reality at all.
It's not reality. Yeah, it's not reality. And you really have to get uncomfortable, right? It's not easy to do, to call someone and say, I've got a great idea for your business. I'd love to tell you about it. But they're selling something too, right? And you're building your brand, and you've got a great voice to sell. And that's what you're doing, right? I've got a great voice that I think aligns with your brand. And I'd love the chance to be the voice of your brand to help you sell X. And that might be a car, that might be healthcare insurance, that might be honey bunches of oats for someone, right? You know, this is what you're doing. And when you do it authentically and you're doing it with the intention of helping that business, and if you want to reach out and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I saw you won an award for, you know, best whatever. Congratulations. You know, hey, I heard your last commercial. I thought it was awesome. You know, if I could get in on your next campaign, here's a link to some of my work that I think it would really be great for you. So yeah, I mean, it is tough because you're the brand. And I completely, listen, I understand that so much, right? Like, you're the brand, but you've got to just, you're building a business. So you've got to get out there.
View yourself as an asset.
Yes.
View yourself as helping, you know, you're helping, they need you. Like, they need you because they have to sell a product. It's a domino effect. So not viewing yourself as an inconvenience, not viewing yourself as beneath what they're doing. You are a professional and you are an asset. And I think that also helps shift the mindset.
It comes down to self-confidence. I mean, when you talk in marketing, you talk about believing in your product, right? If you believe in your product, you know that your product is going to help the person succeed. If you don't believe in yourself, and I'm talking to the voice actors listening out there right now, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to convincingly be able to talk to people and say, I can help you. And let me give you an example. Aimee, yesterday, a voice actor who I think is listening, he was listening earlier, sent me it was Tyler Smith. He sent me a example of a political email that he wants to send out. He's like, I just want somebody else to put eyes on this. And it's a marketing email. And it was brilliant. And it was so well written. And it was very, very effectively said, I will help you win your campaign because, right? And so he said, he set it up just with confidence from the beginning. It wasn't, oh, please choose me, help me, I'd love to work with you. It was, you want to work with me, and here's why. Here's what I
Yeah.
bring to the table. And when we approach our voiceover marketing believing in ourselves, it's a totally different ballgame. But I do want to caution really quick, because I loved your idea about sending out handwritten notes and cards, candy. I'm always thinking, like, what could I send? Candy, duh. Like, everybody likes candy. But if you're working with agents, this does not apply. You can send your agents candy in a handwritten note, but please do not bypass your agent and send to the person. So agents connect us with clients,
Right.
but we do not go directly to the client ever. In that scenario, you will burn yourself off a roster with an agency. Please, please, please. Even if you had direct email contact with that client, the agent is your only bridge to that client. Now, when you're doing direct marketing and even with pay to plays, whatever, any other way that you've connected with that client, absolutely 100% reach out to them, send them a note, send them an email, connect back with them. Just please don't do that when your agency
Right.
books you the job.
That
Yeah.
connection does not belong to you in that case.
No.
They
Yeah.
worked hard to make that connection.
Absolutely. And you want to take care of your agencies, and you want
Yes.
to take care of everyone at the agency. It's not always just the person's there, because there's a lot of churn, right? So that your contact at that agency may not be your contact at that agency in 3 months. And so you want to make sure that you're treating everybody well. So yeah, making sure that you're having a good foot in the door at that agency with more than just your one connection, but never beyond the client, for sure.
Absolutely. I'll give you one example is that with my agency, I work pretty much exclusively through the assistants to the agent. And I had a really great experience with one of the assistants. So I emailed the agent and I said, I just want you to know what a great experience I had today working with so and so. And I just appreciate them. And they were so kind and considerate and all. And I just fluffed them up a little bit in a good way because they deserved it, and copied them on it so they could see that. That's probably better than candy. Like,
Yeah.
she wrote me back personally. She's like, I can't believe you did that. Thank you so much. Like, it, and it cost me nothing to just compliment someone to their boss. So let's talk about social media, because our next question was we're really talking about ways to create a target audience and reach out to them directly. And you have to know your audience. And you talked about physically where they are. Like, are they on the golf course? Are they at the pub or eatery or whatever? But we also need to know where they live online, because I feel like we were just talking about this week. But if you're marketing to somebody 40 and up, you're not going to find them most of the time on TikTok or Instagram as much or as active. They're going to want an email, and it's probably going to want to be a longer email with more information. But if you're reaching out to the 25 to 30 crowd, they're going to want succinct, to the point, quick, easy, like as simple as possible. And they're probably going to live in the creative spaces like TikTok and Instagram and social media. So what are your thoughts on that? That is just Alicia's opinion with
Yeah.
no basis in fact, being an old lady
No.
myself.
Yeah. You're 100% on there, right? So that's why that homework I talk about is so important, right? And it's going to be different for everybody, right? Find the platforms that work well. Obviously, the no-brainer is LinkedIn. Everyone should have a great LinkedIn profile. You should try to make connections on there. Don't make a connection and then 30 seconds later, try to sell that person, right? Make the connection and start to follow brands and follow people and see what they're posting and what they like. And sometimes, we have this idea that if you're at a particular age, you're on a particular platform, and that must be what you do all night long when you go home. I would guess that there's a high percentage of people that if they're go and they're on social media and they're on, that's their content creators and their agencies and they're on that stuff all day long, maybe they tune out at night a little bit, and so maybe they're reading articles, like they're actually like doing some research for the next day. So social media is super important. You definitely need to be there, create some good, valuable content, some tips, really small, easy to digest things with a link to your website, right? Where you're capturing lead data. So if that person says, wow, that was a really great tip. I really liked what Alicia said. I really liked what Jen said. They can go there and, hey, tell me more about that. Is your email address quick to do? Do you have your phone number posted so people can text you? Like if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you're going to see my mobile numbers right there. I don't want people to have to search for me. If they need me to answer a question for them, boom, it's right there. Text me, call. Make sure you're accessible, when you're out there and you're doing that work, and then have a lead gen form right there so you can capture their information and then you can get back to them. And that helps your business grow, right? Just having social, and everyone gets super excited about, this had this many likes, this had this much interaction, here are my insights, 17 people searched me on LinkedIn yesterday. And, but what does that mean? What does it mean if you didn't capture anything? And if I go back years and years from presenting to businesses, there was a trend happening, and I can't say that it stopped, but for a long time, a business would say, oh, I don't need a website because I have X, so, like some sort of social media. And I would say, like, you're kidding me, right? Like, who are those followers? Who are those people that like your page? Like, do you have their address? Do you have their mobile phone number? Can you text them? What happens when this platform goes away? So you need to have your data, that you're protecting. It's your business, it's your brand. Have Google Analytics on your websites. Make sure it's coded properly. Look at your monthly or weekly or biweekly, however often you want to do it. Look at your web traffic. Where's it coming from? Look at the insights. If you have Google Analytics, it will tell you what people like. One company that I worked with, we were like, hey, pull your analytics. It was a retailer. They pulled their analytics. 90% of their traffic we saw liked animals. There's something to do with animals. And I'm like, wait a second, why are you not carrying anything in the store for pets? So they got a really cool hip pet line. They added it, really small at first. It blew out. Those analytics will help you. And you'll start to notice where people are coming from. Oh, wait a minute, they're all coming from this particular location geographically, or at this time of day, this is when the traffic is hitting. That's when you're sending your emails out, right? So you have to use the data to make good decisions and make that part of your strategy. What time of day is your site getting hit? And yeah, it'll give you so much data. You could spend hours on it, but use the basics and then plan your prospecting around that.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember to check your links and make sure that they work and that they take people where you want them to. I went to someone's TikTok account today because I know them exclusively on TikTok, and I wanted to find their website so that I could then share their website with someone else. Couldn't find it. Can't find it anywhere on their social media profile. So make sure your social media profile somewhere lists your website, is what you're saying, because how do you convert that, right?
Yeah,
So,
you want to look at conversions, and you want to make sure that what you're, and I beg everyone, you have a brand, separate your personal from your business and sprinkle in some personal to the business, not the reverse, right? If I'm friends with Jen T, I want to see pictures of her kids. I want to hear her thoughts on, I want to see her, maybe I want to check out her March Madness bracket, but if that's not the case, I don't want to have to drill through 90 posts on, what she likes to do in her free time to find like a great tip, right? So it's got to be that every couple of posts is a little personal to give you that human connection, but LinkedIn should be LinkedIn, right? And then everything else should be kind of cleaned up if you're making that open to the public. So just a tip.
That's a good one. One of the questions we've been asked is, how do you know what kind of posts are the most successful? And I would say that's trial and error, right? Like, and there's also that whole, we call it the NJ yoga effect, where she had a video of her doing some weird yoga thing go completely viral. I mean, how many views has that video had? Like 2 million or something.
Well, yeah, over 2 million.
Yeah, but it doesn't convert to anything, and you never know what it's.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ask me what happens when you go viral doing a yoga video. Nothing.
Yeah. So, and you just never know. So like I post consistently on TikTok ideas about voiceover or the industry or just creative entrepreneurship in general. And I posted a video of my husband driving my son around the lawnmower, and I had way more views on that in a short period of time than I ever do on, so it's like you just never know. But I love your message to sprinkle it in, but not overwhelm us with it. So do you have any other tips for how to know like what kind of posts are successful if you haven't posted yet, like where you get that data?
Yeah. So, I mean, just I always say go incognito if you can, right? Start to look at brands, start to look at your competitors, right? And you can do that and see, hey, what are people responding to or not? You have to do this homework, right? It's really hard. Everybody thinks that they're going to post content and everybody's going to love it and share it and it's going to go viral. That's not the case. I mean, if you have 10 really engaged followers that can give you business, 10 is great. 100's great. It doesn't have to be a million, right?
Mm-hmm.
What good is 5,000 likes on something if they're all just random people or bots or something, right? You want to have the smallest number of engaged, really drilled in, dialed in pros who can give you business or recommend you for business or, maybe launch you into something else for an opportunity. So, everybody gets caught up on what works. You could post one thing, have just a really small sprinkle of interaction with it and convert that to more business than something that was, much bigger. So just, start to look at what competitors are doing, people you admire, other great VOs, what are they posting? And then, you can see those numbers. You can go to Google and see, type out use AI. I hate to say AI, but, use AI and ask, what's getting the most buzz? What are some buzzwords in my particular field? And really start to do that homework and take note of that. But then you don't want to copy that. You want to start to create your own authentic tips and content and ideas for people, because everybody's unique, and everybody's got that, again, that secret sauce. I keep going back to it, but what are the ingredients for your secret sauce? It's who are you trying to reach? What do they want? So I'll flip that for a second, right? If you're talking, we spend a lot of time trying to drill down on those profiles. Who's hiring you for your next role? And what is that next role going to be? And then you say, this is my most likely, this is my long shot, this is my stratosphere, right? I'm going to the moon and back with this one. Who are they? Where are they? And then what content would they want? If I was this person, is this person a busy mom who's, is it a quick recipe? Is it a quick smoothie? Is it a great tip on, something else? Is it, hey, I started using this software and it's changed my life. It's, a time saver. Start to think about those lines. That's the content that'll work for you. But you have to do the homework first, right?
And I wanted to circle back on something you said earlier about, connect with somebody on LinkedIn, and when they connect back or accept your connection request, don't message them and be like, hey, I want to work with you. There's a way to connect and there's a wrong way to connect. And I think you really need to know the difference. I saw a post on LinkedIn, I think it was last week. Somebody was starting a new business, and instead of asking questions about the business or congratulating them on the business, I saw more people from our community than not just flat out saying, how do I get on your roster?
Right. Yeah. You have to remember that people are people, right? I mean, there's no, we think that they're employers or they're agents. We call them things like they're people. So you're exactly right, Jen. You want to make sure that, you're sending a nice message to them, congratulating them, celebrating other voiceovers or artist wins, right? Being able to say this, sharing that, how about if that's the content we're sharing? Shout out to this person. I see the messaging, and I've been following y'all for a bit, but I see this, why aren't female voices voicing the, sports, right? So it's great to be able to say, hey, check this out, share this. You know, I'm not in your industry per se, but boy, that really, I stop and read those. I listen to those. I watch those clips. I'll give it a like, you know, because sometimes things go beyond the voiceover community and it's just community. So like, think of that, right? It's just all one big community. And then we put ourselves in these silos. And so being able to reach out to a person to say, congratulations on this. Hey, saw you started a new job. Hey, saw you went to work for X. You know, it's been a pleasure working with you. Can't wait to see where you land. And if you're nice to everybody along the way, authentically, because they'll know, right? Then when they start moving up, they're going to take you with them, right? They're going to remember that voiceover artist who complimented them for great service. And then when they get to hire somebody, oh yeah, I remember Alicia said that I was pretty awesome. And I thought that really helped me get this gig, you know, and they're going to maybe help you back out. It's just community, 100%.
It is.
And no one wants to feel sold to, right? You know, no one, you know, if you go online, you're searching for an outfit and, you know, okay, I'm checking out these shoes, something happens, you know, you're coming back and that email is going to be there for 20% off plus free shipping. And you know that they know that you're looking. But if it was a constant, you know, and then maybe a couple of days go by and it's like, hey, great purchase. Saw you like the shoes. Here comes something else. You know, you have to remember that they're doing that because they think you're in the market and you are. And so when you're aligning ads and marketing with people's behaviors, it doesn't feel like you're being sold to. It feels like, oh, thanks, J. Crew. I just bought those shoes. Yeah, that's a great bag to go with them, right? Yeah, bring it on. But if it was just something random, you know, like a lawnmower ad, like why, right? So it has to be intentional and it has to be meaningful and it has to make sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I can't believe that we have gotten through an hour already, Aimee. We want to respect your time, but before you go, we want to ask you 3 for fun questions.
3?
And
Okay. I was kind of
3.
prepared for this because I saw you had asked some for other people. So, okay, I'm ready.
All right. So, first question is, what show or series are you binge watching right now?
Oh, this one's great and easy to answer. It's the show Vikings. I
I
don't know if
love
you're all
that
familiar
show.
with it.
Uh-huh.
It is not what I normally watch at all. I usually don't want that, you know, the violence and like that's not my jam at all. But somehow this show has hooked me in the like this, and it's hard for my husband and I to find something to watch together. And we kind of just gave up one day and said, let's watch this, you know, Vikings, and we're hooked. So Vikings 100%.
Yeah, I think we're through 5 seasons of that. Have you watched Last Kingdom?
I have not.
Okay, if you like Vikings, try Last Kingdom when you finish that.
Okay, cool. Good tip. See, that's a tip. Put that on social, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So, second question, give us the scenario for your dream vacation.
Oh, I'm so boring. I'm not a great traveler, I have to say. Like, you know, if you were like, hey, here's a ticket, you could zip around the world, I'd be like, like I'm kind of a homebody, but I would say ideal vacation would be like a great spa extended stay where I can just get massages and relax and get super chill and zen for as many days as possible. That's my ideal. Yeah.
Perfect. And what song, when you hear it, do you absolutely just have to sing along to?
Zephyr song, Red Hot Chili Peppers. If you are anywhere near me at any time, that song is playing maybe 24 times a day, every day. It's just my song, and I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Got to see them live this or actually in the fall last year.
Cool.
And yeah, but Zephyr song is just always on for some reason. That's my jam.
All right.
Awesome. Well, a huge thank you to everyone who joined us live today. If you're listening on the podcast, feel free to join us live on YouTube every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, be sure to connect with each of us on LinkedIn. Are you good with that, Aimee, if people reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
anybody who has a question that I didn't cover today that you'd like, anybody who just wants to reach out, feel free, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can email me. The VO Booth Besties have my email, my cell phone. It's out there. So yeah, reach out to me. I'd be glad to talk to anybody.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, for our listeners, if you are not currently in the VO Booth Besties Facebook group, please come over and join. If you missed a live episode, you can always catch the recording later on our website, boothbesties.com, or anywhere you find your favorite podcasts. And we would love it if you'd leave us a review. It helps our listeners who are looking for great voiceover content. It helps spread the word. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aimee. And you guys join us next week. We're going to have Kay Best join us, and we're going to talk about the role of demos in 2024 and release our interviews from over 30 demo producers where they share their perspectives and talk about our survey that we sent out to agents to figure out how agents feel about demos. And we think you're going to be pretty surprised by what we've learned. So thank you all for being here, and we hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you again, Aimee.